I am Donna, and this is my true story. I have so many miracles in my life that I like to share. One of them was, I call it the Kmart story, and this is a time that I am so dependent on the Lord, and this is a time that I knew I had bronchitis, and when I have bronchitis, it goes into pneumonia, and so I knew I had to get my antibiotics, but I had no money or no way to pay for them. And I was driving down the highway here in Fort Collins, and all of a sudden I heard the Lord speak to me, and it was real loud in my heart and speaking, and he said, "Donna, go to Kmart's." And I said, "Lord, you know I don't have any money or a credit card or anything." Of course, he knows that. But that's what he told me to do. So I swung into Kmart's, and I went up to the counter, the prescription counter, and I asked him, how long would it take to fill this prescription? And they said about 20 minutes. And I said, okay, I'll be back. Still did not have any money, did not know how I was going to pay for this at all. So then I walked around, then 20 minutes exactly, I went back to the counter, and then just as I started to ask the pharmacist, I got as far as how much is this going to be? And another pharmacist walked in, and he looked at me and he goes, "Donna Roth, what are you doing here? I know you." He said, "We go to the same church." Well, I didn't know him because our church is really huge, And he said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Oh, I just have this prescription that I filled." I never did tell him I didn't have any money or anything. And he said to the pharmacist, he said, "You know what?" He said, "I'll pay for Donna's prescription. Just give her prescription, and I'm going to pay for it." And that was such a miracle, because I have learned, I like to walk in faith and walk when the Lord speaks to me, when I hear his voice, and that's what he told me to do. And so that's what I did, and I got to go home with my medicine, and that was really a blessing. You just experience like one miracle after another. I have another story too, that it was Christmas time, and my granddaughter wanted a black beanbag for Christmas. Well, this was the year that was the popular thing, was a black beanbag, and I went all over, and I could not find one. And so I heard the Lord spoke to me, and he said, "Go to Walmart's," And I thought, well, I already talked to them there, and they said they don't have any. And the Lord spoke to me, and he said, behind the Walmart store, they have a surplus trailer, and they have more things in the trailer, surplus things in the trailer. You call them back, and you tell them that they need to go look in that surplus trailer. And I said, oh, they're going to think I'm crazy. I never even knew they had a trailer or anything. And so I called back, and he said, no, we don't have any. And I said, I think you do. And I said, would you mind going and look out in the surplus trailer that you have out back? And he said, how'd you know we had that? I said, the Lord told me. And I don't think he was even saved. So he went out, and then he came back on the phone, and he said, I can't believe it. Guess what? There was exactly the one you wanted for your granddaughter, the black beanbag. And that was just another miracle, you know. Sometimes it wasn't easy. Like one time I was ministering to somebody, and when I ministered to people, I just asked the Lord to give me the scriptures just for them. And they're always amazed. Like, how'd you know that about me? Or how did you know that? And I didn't. It was just the Lord. Well, anyway, when I talked to this one particular inmate, everything that I had to give him was not good, you know, because he was saying that he was really a follower of the Lord and lifted himself up as a preacher in the jail. But the Lord showed me, you know, that he had all kinds of things. He showed me that he'd been stealing, you know, he showed me that he's committing adultery and all these different things, and I had to share that with him. And I was so nervous, I was sweating. I mean, you know, if I didn't know the Lord, because I didn't know if he'd hit me or, you know, but I knew that I had to share with him the truth. And he broke down and cried, you know, and he said, Donna, he said, you're the only one that's ever told me the truth. And he said, you're absolutely right. And he said, I need to change my life. And will you pray with me? And so I did, and he did. He completely changed. You know, so sometimes it's not easy what God asks you to do, or going over to Africa, or, you know, and all the things that, you know, you face and see. But God, He'll always take care of you. It's all about trusting the Lord, and like I say, making sure that you've asked the Lord into your heart and ask the Lord to take over your life. Well, I was here, and I couldn't wake up. They tried to wake me up, you know, to come in and do some kind of test or something, but they couldn't get me awake, you know. So they called the ambulance, and they took me to the hospital, you know, and they said that I was dying, and that, you know, they said better call all your family in, have all her family come in. Told my son, call your family in, because we don't think she's going to make it through the night, you know. They said that they told my family, you know, that my organs were shutting down, and my kidneys were shutting down completely. Then my son whispered in my ear, he said, Mom, he said, what do you want to do? Do you want to live, or do you want to die? And I said, I want to do whatever the Lord wants me to do. If it's to live, or if it's to go be with Him, you know. And so then I said, Lord, I said, would you please guide the doctor's hands, and, you know, as they're working on me, you know, show them your light shining on their hands. And the next thing I knew, I looked down and I could see inside my stomach, and I saw these hands moving around and this bright light shining on their hands to guide them. And I just knew that was the Lord. And so, you know, I just had a complete peace. Then all of a sudden, they said, wow, her kidneys are working again. And that just doesn't happen. You know, that just doesn't happen. And all the other organs are all following suit. They're all starting to work again. And the next thing I knew is somebody said, you know, one of the doctors or someone, they said, this is a miracle. I'm a living miracle. And all the miracles that God has done in my life, you know, and even more He can do in your life.